plus b squared, the sum equals c squared. A squared plus b squared, the sum equals c squared. Pythagorean Theorem requires all right triangles.
So, first of all, Pythagorean Theorem is named after a guy, Pythagoras. He was a math guy back in like 529 BC. So here it is, the Pythagorean Theorem. If you have a right triangle, so we have a right triangle here, A, B, and C. Now we're always going to say for this case, we have these sides. We're going to always label it across from angle A is side A, across from angle B is side B, across from angle C is side C. If you have a right triangle, then the sum of the squares of the sides of the triangle are equal to the square of the hypotenuse. All right, so across from the 90 degrees is the hypotenuse. In this case, we're always going to label that C. All right, this is the shorthand. This is the Pythagorean theorem right here. So if you have a right triangle, this is true. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So if I square the lengths of these sides and add them together, it's going to equal the square, or squaring the hypotenuse. Okay, not the square root, but squaring it. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Okay? We'll do a couple in a second, but take a look. A Pythagorean triple is a set of numbers that satisfies the Pythagorean theorem. The biggest number is always the hypotenuse. So these are common Pythagorean triplets, 3, 4, 5. So if you see these numbers, you automatically know it's a right triangle. It's gonna work. If you see 3 and 4, you know the third side is gonna be 5. If you see 4 and 5, you know the third side's 3. It's just automatic. 5, 12, 13, 8, 15, 17, 7, 24, 25. So in other words, 3 squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared. 9 plus 16 equals 25. 9 plus 16 is 25. So yes, 25 indeed is 25. All right, so it's the side square that really matter there. Okay? All right, let's just get right into it and try some here. So let's find the missing side, round it to the nearest tenth. So again, always across from the 90-degree angle is our side we have by ourselves. So we're doing A squared plus B squared equals C squared. I know that this is C. Doesn't matter which is A and B really, so I'm going to do x squared plus 9.4 squared equals 14 squared. All right, let's do this out. 9.4 squared is 88.36. And 14 squared is 196. If I want to get x squared by itself, I have to subtract 88.36 to the other side, and I get 107.64. Or excuse me, just 0.6. My bad. All right. And if I then, oh no, that was right, 0.64. If I then need to get the x by itself, I have to square root it. Now this time it said leave as around the nearest tenth, so I'm not going to do anything fancy. I'm just going to put in my calculator, square root 107.64, and I'm going to get 10.37. Around the nearest tenth is 10.4. So you need to watch the directions. Sometimes it's going to say nearest tenth. If it does, hey, not a problem. Just round it nearest tenth. All right, before we move on to the converse of the Pythagorean theorem, this theorem's so famous that it's in a lot of really popular movies and stuff. So watch these two clips. One's from The Wizard of Oz, all right, and then The Simpsons right after it. Now, both of these people are wrong. This is not the Pythagorean theorem, but in the Simpson clip, he actually corrects himself.
Why, anybody can have a brain. That's a very mediocre commodity. Every pusillanimous creature that crawls on the earth or slinks through slimy seas has a brain. Back where I come from, we have universities, seats of great learning, where men go to become great thinkers. And when they come out, they think deep thoughts, and with no more brains than you have. But they have one thing you haven't got, a diploma. Therefore, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Universitatis Comitiatum e Pluribus Unum, I hereby confer upon you the honorary degree of Ph.D.
Ph.D.?
That's Doctor of Thinkology.
Sum of the square roots of any two sides of an isosceles triangle is equal to the square root of the remaining side. Oh, George, Rapture! I've got a brain!
Hey, there's something you don't see in a toilet every day. Anybody lose their glasses? Last chance. Woohoo! The sum of the square roots of any two sides of an isosceles triangle is equal to the square root of the remaining side.
That's a right triangle, you idiot! Go!
Alright, so hopefully you see that Wizard of Oz, one of the all-time famous movies, was wrong. It talked about isosceles triangles, but again, it has to be a right triangle. Alright, so now let's do the converse of the Pythagorean theorem. The converse. If we have this triangle, and if a squared plus b squared equals c squared is true, so if this does work out, if this comes out and works out, then it's a right triangle. If it comes and it doesn't work out, well, we'll get to that in a second. So let's try these. Are these right triangles? Well, let's see the first one. Now, we always know the longest leg is going to be c because it's a hypotenuse. So, is 26 squared equal to 10 squared plus 24 squared? So 26 squared is 676. 10 squared is 100. Oops, 100. 24 squared is 576. 100 plus 5, that's 676 equals 676. So yes, that is in fact a right triangle. Okay? Let's try this one. Now they just give you three sides on this. How do I know which is A, B, and C? Well, it doesn't matter which A and B is. All that matters is C is the longest side. So is 6 squared plus 8 squared equal to 11 squared? Is 36 plus 64 the same as 121? Let's see, 100, does 100 equal 121? No, it does not. Therefore, no, this is not a right triangle. All right, let's do an application here. So Thor is 120 feet directly below Iron Man. So I'm going to draw a little picture. Every time I see you do one of these problems, I should see a picture. And I'll give you a hint. The entire chapter is about triangles. I should see a lot of triangles. Directly to the east of Iron Man is 500 away is Loki, the bad guy. All right? Since this is directly below and directly, this is a right triangle. How far away or who is the furthest? All right, let's label this. So Iron Man is 500 here, and Thor is 125 feet there. So we need to see how far is Thor from Loki. So x squared equals 125 squared plus 500 squared. Oh, these are big numbers. Now, if I were you, just put that in my calculator all at one time. All right? Save you some trouble. So 125 squared plus 500 squared, you should get 265,625. And then the square root of that would round to 515.4. So this would be 515.4. Now, did we answer the question? We didn't answer any question, did we? So who's closer? Iron Man is closer. 500, 515. How much closer? Well, 515 minus 500, he is 15.4 feet closer. Not much, right? But still closer.